This is Lee Thurburn, and you are on Live Stream Lee, the podcast. We also do a Live Stream Lee live streaming episode that is at 3 o'clock Monday through Friday. Our podcast goes live at 4 o'clock each day. And so we are on the Friday, March 26th. And today I'm going to be visiting with a friend of mine that's a business strategy expert. His name is Elliot Jolesch, and he is going to tell us how he has grown his business and what kind of services he provides. But before I do that, I want to do a quick shout out to a friend of mine that's an attorney that is a great guy that I use as my attorney. And when I get an idea for a new business, I call a guy named Scott Reed, because Scott is not only an attorney, but he's an entrepreneur. He understands the journey, and he is a wise guy that I use to bounce ideas off of. And when somebody calls me with an idea that they think I should get involved in, I present that idea to Scott because I like to hear his feedback. And if you don't have good consultants around you, people that are specialists in things like accounting and law and risk management, you need to surround yourself with those people. And if you don't have somebody in the law profession, go to livestreamlee.com and click on the Scott Reed button and learn a little bit more about Scott. He's a great guy for you to get to know. Today, we're going to be talking to Elliot about all things small business, because Elliot is Elliot, would you call yourself a coach or a consultant?
Oh, no, I classify myself as a coach.
Okay, so you help people figure out how to solve problems. You don't necessarily give them a solution. Is that basically the way you define the difference?
That's part of it. I've always looked at the consultant as, I came out of the corporate world. I've over my 40 plus years of working for somebody else. I worked for corporate America. I've worked for the government. I've been in government defense, and I've worked in K-12 and also in higher ed. And the real key, I always picked a consultant as a consultant, somebody that comes in, looks around at what you're doing, agrees with you, writes a report to support you, and then leaves. My idea of a business coach is, first thing he's going to do is he's going to put the onus on you. I'm not there to pat you on the back. I'm not there to congratulate you on what you've already done. I'm there to figure out what's not working. Why is it not working, and what can we do to solve it? You already know what's there that needs to be done. You may not recognize it yet. And my idea of a coach is I'm somebody that'll stay here as long as needed to get you started, to get you moving forward. That could be 90 days, that could be 3 years. It doesn't matter to me. I've got clients that I've had for 3 and 4 years now. I've got clients that we've been able to resolve whatever they were trying to resolve, in particular inside of 6 months. So, but I'm there for the long haul, as long as they want me there. I'm also, from a coaching standpoint, I'm going to say 25 to 30% of the people I talk to aren't a good fit for me. Either they're not on the right page for needing a coach, or they don't fit into the way I think coaching, they don't fit into my style of coaching. Let me put it that way. And the other thing that's sometimes annoying for clients or prospects, I should say, they're not clients yet. There's work to do. I don't do the work for them. I help them, I'll guide them, I'll hold them accountable for doing it, but I don't do the work for them. Now, if they want somebody to do the work for them, I can hook them up with the right people. I've got a kind of I'll use an old term for us old guys, a Rolodex of individuals that I've worked with that I trust, and will help them. If somebody wants a do it for you, not to do it yourself. And I do recommend, building a team. That's one of the things I've always known about small business owners is it's their baby. And the first 2 or 3 years as they're growing their baby, they do everything. And somewhere along that line, if they want to make that big jump to the next level of revenue, or success, somewhere they have to start building a team of individuals or other companies that they trust that will do the work for them, because they can't do it all. One of my, I had a conversation with a prospect at one time. He was doing about $250,000 a year. And I said, where do you want to be? And, in 3 years, let's say, where do you want to be in 3 years? He had some numbers. I won't go into all the details, but basically I told him, I said, well, what got you to 250 will not get you to 500. Just like what gets you to 500 will not get you to 1 million. Every step of the way, you have to look at your processes and improve them and build on them. And that's a lot of what I consider is the purpose of a coach. I'm going to go in and hit your heart, the points that are keeping you up at night, whatever is weighing you down, and we'll figure out what's causing it and how do we attack it to make it go away and become better.
So Elliot, your background, what is the background that you bring to this business that gives you the experience and qualifications to do what you do, to provide people the coaching services that you provide?
Well, a lot of hard knocks. I by degree, I have a degree in accounting, undergraduate degree in accounting, and spent only about 3 or 4 years in the accounting industry, and discovered it was not one of my favorite things. I still do accounting. I mean, I do all my own books and stuff, and I recommend small business owners and to help them figure out what's wrong with their books, and I'll get them in touch with a bookkeeper or an accountant if necessary, or a CPA. And every small business should have a CPA and an attorney, and a small trust of individuals that he can build on, just like you say, that he can kind of go to and talk to bounce ideas off of. But I got into, I'd always had an avocation when I was in high school and growing up as a photographer. And I got into the photography business in the late 70s. This is before digital. We're talking the days of film still. And I was only in it for about 2 or 3 years, but from there I grew a love for computers. It had always been an interest of mine, but I really hadn't delved deep into it. And it was just the kind of the upshot of the computer industry, certainly not what we see today. And from there, ended up back in I was a photographer up in Iowa, had my own studio and stuff for about 2 years. We came back here, and I actually went back into accounting for a couple of years so I could figure out what I really wanted to do. And from there moved into computers, and have never looked back from there. A lot of my computer background is self-taught, but I did go back to school in the mid 80s and got an MBA in management, and continued on and got what's called a master's of management in MIS, Management Information Systems, which I tell people is kind of the prelude to IT. And but so from about 85 till about 09, I was in IT, from everywhere from higher ed to oil and gas to government defense to K-12. And my responsibilities. So when I left K-12 in 09, not by choice, but by the recession we had, if everybody remembers, from 08 and 09. And was looking around for something new to do. Initially when I left, I was going to stay in IT, but I was kind of at that age and had the experiences and stuff that I was unhireable, at least based on the current environment. I'm sure anybody that remembers 2009 and 2010 kind of remembers those days. And I had been fortunate in 2003. Actually, before that, I had connected with a gentleman, a friend of mine out in Atlanta, that was going through and becoming a business coach of his own. And he was looking for people to work with, to practice on. I became one of his practicees. so to speak. And then about a year after he became a full-fledged coach, I hired him to kind of help set my goals and where I wanted to be. And one of my one of the bucket list items I made was to become a coach. I figured it would happen later than it really did. I'm thrilled when it did happen now. Looking back, I've been a coach now for it'd be 10 years in June since I opened my practice. And I love the challenges, and I get some, I'm learning new things as well every day.
So as a coach, what are the biggest challenges? I definitely know that there's a tendency when the economy has a downturn, a lot of people get into coaching and or consulting. And especially at the time frame that you were talking about, I met a lot of people that were new coaches and consultants, and they wanted to take the experience that they had, similar to you, and they wanted to be able to make a business out of it. What were the biggest challenges that you had getting a coaching business started?
Probably the biggest challenges I had was recognizing all the different areas that where help was needed, figuring out how I could help. I some of the materials I created were my own. Others I contracted with. There are 2 or 3 companies, actually probably more, like half a dozen companies out there that provide coaching materials. Some are licensed to you, some are white labeled to you. I've taken some of the white labels and improved upon them in my own mind, and I've taken some of the licensed items and used them also, as long as I, have the rights to. And over the last 10 years, built the practice up. I was in a fortunate situation that when I decided to kind of start that journey, even though I opened my practice in June of 11, I really didn't take my first client until January of 12. I took that 6-month period to further educate myself, to figure out all the ups and downs of what I needed to attract people and to be able to help people. There's no easy solution. And as I tell, and I've talked to other people that have been interested in becoming coaches, and just like any small business, the turnover in coaches is huge. I haven't seen numbers recently, but from about 3 or 4 years ago, any business starting up first year, the failure rate in the first year business is, I think right now, about 85 or 87%. And to get past the 10 years is even higher. And so you've got to make sure you put the pieces in place. You've got to have a plan in place. There's no question. It should be not just financial. It should be, who are my customers? Who's my base? I don't go after everybody. I've made that mistake before. I've learned from my mistakes. The real issue is also recognizing that no matter what you end up doing from a coaching style, you're not a good fit for everybody. Some of it will be the way you approach things, and others will be the person approaching you. And you have to be okay stepping away from it, saying that, no, we're not a good fit. And what I've built since then, first few times I ran into that problem, it was kind of hard on myself, because I said, I should be able to help anybody. And I finally came to the realization that's not always the case. So I built a list of other coaches that I'm happy to pass a person's name on, that I think will fit the environment that particular person needs.
So
I also look at, now, sorry for the interruption there, I'll add one more thing is, I don't look at other coaches as competitors of mine. We're all collaborative people. We all help each other out. I've never met another coach that is not willing to help me in some situation, and vice versa.
So I'm going to go back to my question because honestly, I don't remember hearing a clear answer.
Oh,
So,
okay. Sorry
so
about
no, that's okay. You got off on a tangent,
that.
at least a little bit. So what was the biggest challenge that you had? You described kind of educating yourself and going at it slow and thinking about it, but challenge-wise, what was the toughest thing for you to get the business up and running?
Well, I mean, probably, well, I would break that into two categories. There's the background, the back office type approach,
Okay.
getting the necessary corporate structure if you're going to do a corporate or every.
So preparing all the documents and the training materials and all that
Right.
stuff.
And
So
of
that
course,
was a
you have to have,
challenge.
you have to have funds for that,
Yeah,
because it's not free.
right.
And that's one side of the challenge. The other side of the challenge is, how are you going to put yourself out there? How are you going to find people and convince them that even though you're just starting out.
Marketing.
Exactly. That's it. That marketing is the problem that every small business I've ever dealt with has always had.
It's the common universal problem all small businesses have is where's my customer coming from?
That's
How do I get in front of them and get them to listen to me? So how did you solve that problem?
a lot of networking. Now, it took me about a year and a half. I was very fortunate. My first client was a friend. Well, I won't even say that, because I don't generally coach friends, because I tell them I still want to be your friend. But this was an acquaintance of mine, an acquaintance of my parents. And she knew what I did. She knew I was starting out in something, and she reached out, and I listened to her, and I told her what we could do. And she said, let's do it. And she actually worked with me for about 4 years. And we left on good terms. And she there were some things that, like with any client you get, there are certain things that I wanted her to do, and she doesn't feel comfortable doing them, and that's okay. But I also, I haven't talked to her in a couple of years, so I don't really know how she fared with COVID in this past year. But that's always been the problem is getting out there. Now, the one thing I've done when I'm networking is, for the first probably 2 years, I probably networked with every organization or group that I could get with. I was busy. Literally, sometimes I had 2 network meetings a day for 3 or 4 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
It took me about a year. I started thinking about it about 9 months into it, and the results weren't what I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started reevaluating, and I went back and I dropped out about half of those programs.
Mm-hmm.
To the extent now that I am actually in 2 networking groups. I'll rephrase it. I'm in 2.5 networking groups, because one is a combination group that's educational as networking as well. But so basically, I've take a closer look at networking. I see how they run. I see expectations of me as being a member of that group, and I see expectations of the other group members and what they're expected to do.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean I won't go join a new group and try them out, but I'm quicker to pull the trigger of not going anymore than I used to be. At the most right now, I'll give a group 6 months, depending on how often we meet. If we meet monthly, then 6 months is about right. If we meet more than monthly, then it'll be anywhere from 90 days to 120 days before I decide, is this working or is this not working? The problem I see with some networking groups is everybody is in it for their own purpose and doesn't always extend the idea of collaboration with other members of the networking group.
Elliot, unfortunately, we are about to run out of time, so I just have one more question for you, and that is, and you take a minute or two, a couple of minutes to answer this, and then we're going to have to go. But what are what is the single most common? I'm going to presume marketing is typically the single biggest problem. Everybody would like to have better marketing. So you probably spend a lot of time focused in the marketing arena. If that's a true statement, what are the biggest problems that most people have regarding their marketing that you help them solve? Um, and if that's not correct, if marketing isn't their most commonly big major problem, what would that be?
Marketing is certainly in the top two, maybe even the top three. The very quickly, and I won't go into details on them. The other two that I find a lot of emphasis on that are processes, the way they're doing things, and then staffing, making sure you have quality people and that the people you have are trained correctly and know exactly and have some authority to do something. You cannot hire somebody to be customer facing and not give them some type of authority to make decisions without having to constantly go back to management you have to trust the decisions that they make are the correct ones. But from a marketing standpoint, one of the goals I always look at is who's your client base. I cannot tell you how surprised I am or not surprised I am to hear a business owner saying, well, I can market to anybody. I mean, I sell this product to anybody in the world. Well, that may be the case, but that's not who your marketing base is. You have to have that niche. If you don't have that niche of who you go after, then you might as well just be throwing spaghetti on the wall and see what sticks. And that's not a way to run a business. So, but the other area is there's a lot of marketing you can do out there without spending a lot of money. I see a lot of people putting money into ads that don't make any sense, or there's no reason for the ad other than maybe a yellow page commitment. And yellow page ads, for those of us that remember them, are nowadays, in my opinion, a thing of the past. You break your groups of people into three as to who you're after, and depending on the type of industry you're in. Conversation, if you're in a service industry and you're providing a service to a consumer that has an immediate need, that's great when they need that immediate need, but what do you do the other times? So, but this could obviously go for a much longer discussion.
Well, we could spend hours talking about this, and someday maybe we'll get a chance to do so. But Elliot, I appreciate you making time to come on the program today, and we'll do it again sometime. But folks, if you have an interest in having somebody help you with management or marketing issues, helping you figure out how to grow your business faster, you can reach out to Elliot by visiting his website, the ecjgroup.com, and or you can send him an email, elliot@ecjgroup.com, and that's Elliot with two L's and one T, because there are different ways of spelling that.
Yes, there are.
Thanks for your time again today, and I'll look forward to talking to you soon.
All right, thanks a lot, Lee.